Yes, welcome everyone. If you're watching live right now, of course, that means it's Wednesday at noon Eastern Time, which is always time for the High Noon Hemp Show. At least it has been for the last 7+ years or so. Welcome everyone at various places on the interwebs, of course, on Facebook. And check out the Temptations Beach Facebook page. If you're on YouTube, check out the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel. If you're on X or Twitter, whatever as you call it, follow at Temptations on there. Of course, I'm Senator Jesus. I do various things and tomfoolery and shenanigans and whatnot on the interwebs that you can check out if you want to. He is Beach, and he is the brand new Temptations location, Spring Grove Avenue in Cincinnati Beach. How are things this week in the world of Temptations?
They're good. Anytime you can do the show from the hemp drying room and the trim room. So that's where the show is coming from. This is a CBD bud that actually still needs to be trimmed up, and but that's where the store is coming from. Planet Everywhere Studios here from the Flower Factory. Big old meow to you. And remember, folks, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. That being said, hey, Stoner, do you know what today is?
Oh,
you know what today is?
I got a feeling you're going to tell me, Beach, what day is today?
Hump Day! No, it's Hemp Day, folks. Hemp Day!
That's right. T-shirts coming soon.
T-shirts coming soon. Big beach face, elongated to look like a camel.
That's right.
That's just what everybody needs. Me screaming Hemp Day at them. I love it. All right, well, let's do the pledge. Put your peace signs to your hemp. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. So I'm going to, before we even get to the product spotlight, 4 from the store, 1 from my door, I'm going to break into the spotlight to announce that just 10 minutes ago,
all right,
we got the rock and roll happiness cream back in.
Nice.
This is literally one of the most highest sold products that we've ever had in the history of Temptations. I've been selling it for probably, at least 10 years. I'm guessing they've been making this. My customers are very unhappy with me right now because I've been out of stock way longer than we should have. So I'm going to start getting the word out all the places that I can. I'm even going to try to list it on eBay with very little description because they'll kick me off if I don't. But I think I can still do it. And I mean, if you know, this is one of those things, if you know, you know. And right. If you want it, you'll want it. And all I got to do is list it as the rock and roll happiness cream. And they will come, as they say. So big news in the products this week. I'm really excited to get it back in. And if you come into the store and buy 2 jars, we'll just right off the bat knock you off 10%. Just boom, bam, zibbity, bam. Make it even a little bit easier for you. And again, if you know the value of this stuff, and I guarantee you that, probably 5 of my regular happiness cream customers that may have just bought 1 jar at a time will now come buy 2 jars, because this is what happens when I run out. They panic. Yeah. And then they buy more when they come back in. But we're good. We're stocked up. Get in there and get that.
There you go.
Now, here's another product from the product spotlight. This is the From the Field cat toys. Very, very popular little cat toy. I think we charge like $1 for them or something. And again, every cat that I've ever introduced to it loves it. All cats love string, and then they love batting stuff around. So that little piece of cork there really gets them going. No doubt. Good morning. Actually, it's I don't know if it's afternoon now since it's high noon, but happy high noon. How about that? Happy high noon. So, um, thanks everybody for checking in. I love it. How about the racks of clothing? So I finally have, and now there is actually one other rack that is not in this picture, um, and and here it is. Or no, it's not. These are the three racks that I have. Okay, hemp clothing, men's, women's, all sizes. Some hemp jackets. I have a whole nother rack of the hemp hood lamp jackets. They're really taking off this week on eBay. So, if you're looking for a hemp hood lamp jacket, I'm going to start getting a lot of those more listed depending on where you are in the world. Um, but that's, and particularly, I do have this shirt. It's kind of on the rack listed on eBay. So here's the hemp company. This is a medium. So if you wear a medium men's, even if you are a woman, it's okay because I consider all clothing to be unisex. I don't believe clothing should have a sex. If you want to wear it, wear it. I just know that these are described as men's mediums. I think I shot a picture over of the
Yeah.
brown one there.
There it is.
And again, that one's on eBay. That's listed on eBay. I think I probably have the small. I hope I have the small brown listed on eBay for a great price, like a third of the price. I'm literally less than what I bought these for wholesale. But either way, there you have it. How about baby bibs? And these are for like little tiny babies, like right out, because they're pretty small. And I will have to say that in the weirdest of ways, this picture of baby bibs sums up my college experience in colors. And the reason that I say that, not because we wore baby bibs in college, but because my fraternity, private fraternity, literary society, actually, originally, was purple and gray. Those were our colors, purple and gray, all the way. And Heidelberg's colors are black and orange. So, it's just some weird coincidence there. And I do think I have some more baby bibs somewhere, in some other colors. I don't know. And then this last one, which is actually 5 now from the store, is brand new, and I really think that these are going to be popular. And the reason is, this is the Hyde's Hail Mary. So it's 5% THC, 5%, 5 milligrams, sorry, not percent, 5 milligrams THC, 5 milligrams CBD, and 5 milligrams CBG. And so I really think that this is really kind of the middle of the road for everybody. That they're going to get all the benefits of all of those. That there's not enough THC, that it's too extreme either way. But then to get the 5 milligrams of CBD and the 5 milligrams of CBG on top of it, you're really getting a lot of therapeutic value from that drink. And that was something, and I really think that the market really needs something like this. At least my market does, because this was something that I think people really liked about the Queen City seltzers. There wasn't a whole lot of anything, but they really did. They worked and they were good. And so this is a lemon shandy. So I don't know if this is going to taste like Pilsner beer and lemonade, or so a shandy is usually Pilsner beer, and then you add either lemonade or a citrus drink, 7-Up, Sprite, something like that, as normally your alcoholic shandy. And so I feel like this is the lemonade version, only because they call it lemon. I haven't tried one yet, but I'm very excited to. We just got these in last night. Just got them in the cooler today. So I do look forward to this because I do like lemon in my water. So I feel like either way, I'm going to like this drink. And again, I like the percentage. I know a lot of the a lot of the crowd likes those higher numbers, but a lot of the older crowd, calling myself older because I am, I think will really, really like the benefits of this particular drink. So get in and get some if you're around, one way or another. Now, the one from my door this week is actually two from my door because that's how I do it. There's my toothbrush, which is, of course, a hemp composite handle, which we also sell in the store, and then CBD toothpaste. And so, and again, I use, I am convinced, and again, maybe it's a placebo, maybe not, but I've had recently, as I get older, tooth and gum issues, and I really feel like using the CBD. What I do is I usually take it and I put it on my gums really good and under my tongue, and I just kind of let it sit there for a little while because that's allowing that CBD, whatever amount is in there, little or a lot, to get into right in that area and help with whatever may need. Most gum issues are inflammation, and so and again, I'm not preaching against inflammation because inflammation happens for a purpose in our bodies. It is true, but I think that it also helps with a lot of other things. And again, I cannot give medical advice. I can only speak for myself when I say these things. All right, there you have it. 5 from the store, 2 from my door here on the High Noon Hemp Show.
Right. Which, of course, brings us to what will forever remain, until someone proves me wrong, the greatest segment in internet history. I know cats play pianos and all kinds of stuff goes on the internet, real, AI, whatever it is, but nothing is better than the beachwear segment. And of course, as we chronicle each week now, it's kind of become a tradition. The Guinness World Records ignores completely and blatantly, I may say, ignores all of the hemp records that Beach has set and currently holds. They just don't care. But there are things they do care about. So each week, before we get into the beachwear segment, we ask Beach the very important question we ask him each week. We take a look at the Guinness World Records X feed and see what's so important that they have going on that they can ignore what we have going on. And today, well, it's interesting to say the least. Daredevil Burning Joe, that's his nickname, Burning Joe, driving a car 100 meters while on fire in the latest full body burn stunt. Even gets the Guinness World Records little logo, the guy, his face, he's on fire. They get the whole graphic, all of that for Burning Joe.
I mean, it's one thing to drive 100 meters in a car that's on fire, but to actually, I guess, get on fire and get in the vehicle and then drive it.
That's stupid.
That's just flat out.
Light yourself on fire and then you pull the car behind you in case you need it for something.
It's okay. Anyway. Ay.
So that's what the Guinness World Records cares about. That's fine. They can do what they need to do. What we care about is the beachwear segment. Each week, we chronicle all of the records, at least clothing-wise in this segment, that Beach holds when it comes to hemp. And we continue to build on those records each week. And all I have to do is ask Beach one simple question, and a picture will appear, and he'll tell us all about it as if by magic. When I ask, what are you wearing, Beach?
That's right. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you'll know. So on top there, and I've got something on this whole Guinness Book of World Records challenge that I'm going to bring up in a minute, and more on my particular records here in a minute. But let's go ahead and start with the head. That is a head case Do Hemp hat, and again, that's kind of a play on DuPont, if you don't know, because DuPont released the patent for the very first synthetic fiber in 1937, ironically the same year that they made growing hemp illegal in the United States. Coincidence? Some of us think not, but it could very well just be. Anyway, my shirt is a Converse T-shirt. I've got my Hempy's belt holding up one of my all-time favorite pairs of shorts. These are my a pair of those Ecolution shorts. I have shown a pair of these or worn a pair of these on the "What Are You Wearing" beach segment of the show. But the last pair I actually wore because I had to sew up a hole in the backside before I wore them. These are still in really great shape. And I try not to wear them a lot anymore because I do love them, and I used to wear them all the time. But these shorts are at least 25 years old. In my pocket there, per usual, is the Green Springs Technology pen. Um, and then underneath it all is a pair of Hempist briefs. And then you've got a pair of Hemp Traders no-shows, also something that I wear a lot and have a lot of pairs of. And then those are a pair of Adidas Sambas. Now, to acknowledge that I am right in the middle of setting a new record, and this new record is going to be consecutive days wearing a different pair of Adidas. Now, this just happened, and if you go back to watch last week's show, I wore Adidas on last week's show. I'm actually a little over a week with this record. And so we'll see how long it goes, but at the end, I will, and I love you. And sometimes I get the feed a little longer over here because I can see it better. And so if I react late with your comment, it's not because it's a brain issue. It's because it's an eyesight issue, and I can see this screen better than that screen, and it's on about a 30-second delay. Just to explain all of that. Anyway, so I'm in the midst of wearing a different pair of Adidas, which could lead into a different pair of shoes. I'm going to start this record by wearing a different pair of Adidas because that out of all my shoes that I have, that is the largest collection by any one maker. And again, some of the oldest that I have, because we used to actually sell some of the original shell toe hemp Adidas in the stores. Again, 25 years ago at least. So they'll be a part of the challenge and they'll be in the picture. Maybe I'll even wear them on next week's show if I can stretch it that far, and I'm almost sure that I can. So anyway, there you have it. I am currently in the middle of setting a new hemp record. And that being said, I believe that I'm putting a lot of thought, and this was Mary's idea. I'm putting a lot of thought to actually just starting a page on the website that is Hemptation's list of cannabis records. Okay, just to see. I know how tall the record we showed it on the show for the tallest hemp plant. So, we can give them full credit for that until someone comes along and challenges it. We will make it so people can submit somehow. Maybe I'll start a page on Facebook. I don't know where but there's a fine line here. Okay. Because I want to do all cannabis records, but I don't want to, we started to make the joke, record for holding your breath the longest after taking a hit of cannabis. I don't really want to encourage that behavior. I don't want that to be a challenge going around the internet. You know what I mean? I don't want to. I'm sure that we can have records, but I don't. And so I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, how we can do this responsibly. But we can because all in all, and we can all be a part of this, judge and decide again what's safe for a record. I want the records to be safe. I don't want them, I don't want them to encourage someone doing something that would harm them just for the sake of being cool.
Right.
Because that's all this is about to begin with. Don't get me wrong. That's why so many people love to brag about the largest dab hit. And I've seen this stuff. I've seen this.
Yeah.
And again, I just don't know if. And again, maybe we can acknowledge if someone is acknowledged for records like that, we'll acknowledge whoever acknowledged them for the record. I don't want to be the one responsible, but anyway, I do whatever. I'm gonna put some serious thought to it. And maybe the Hemptations list of cannabis records will come to a bookstore near you someday, printed on hemp paper. I can only hope.
There you go. It would have to be.
All right. Well, let's get on to this is one of the fun triplet beach commercials, and so let's do that, and then we'll get on with the news.
Has just learned that Hemptations has the largest selection.
Hold on.
The planet. Reporting live on location. Let's go to Kenny Biss. That's right, Ima. As you can see, Hemptations has great hemp goods, as well as e-juice, vapes, books, and much, much more. All from a store you've trusted for 20 years. Now back to the Hemp Studio for the forecast. We are expecting highs in the selection region of Hemptations and lows in the prices, with more hemp to come. Back to you, Ima. That's Hemp News, having Hemptations for 20 years.
How that didn't win an award, I don't know.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's some seriously good stuff right there.
Acting alone.
And again, I did have someone come up to me. I was out in public, actually. And, of course, someone came up to me, and they were like, yeah, the hemp guy. Or sometimes they call me the hemp guy, or sometimes they call me Hemptations. Hey, Hemptations. And I was getting recognized quite a bit there for a while when I was running these. And this lady was like, she asked me, she said, are you a triplet? She really thought that was three different people, which is a testament to what I have to say, because I would shoot the scenes. I had them all in my head, so I'd shoot all the scenes as whoever I was, and then I would go shave and put my hair, change my hair. I really tried to do a good job, but I didn't like do any makeup or put on a fake beard. It was all me.
It's just your range
the whole time. Come on, look at what I can do.
That's right.
All I need is a full beard and long hair, and I can change into any one of my personalities or alternate life, whatever those are. For good times. So that commercial is at least 10 years old, obviously, as the reference to the 420 years goes. And of course, we only have the one store now down in Spring Grove, and we do not carry e-juice anymore.
No.
We were some of the first to do that, and then I just totally got away with nicotine, and now there's a vape store on every corner selling nicotine vapes.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. So the title of the article is 14 vision-protecting foods containing nutrients that reduce eye strain, and this is according to ophthalmologists. Number 12, hemp seed. This is part of its GLA omega-6. Now, I've always said the seed has what they say is the perfect ratio of omega-6 to omega-3. What I didn't know was that GLA omega-6 is kind of rare in vegetable matter. And GLA is supposed to reduce inflammatory prostaglandins, don't know, that's a big word, around the eye muscle. And so that's why having, a good amount of that is good. And then they also talk about the magnesium. And I've been talking about the magnesium over the last year or so on the show, because magnesium seems to be that vitamin mineral, I believe it's mineral, that's very high on everybody's list now, especially for older people. and the health of older people. And so it says that the magnesium acts like a natural relaxant for overworked focusing muscles. And then, of course, studies show that 3 tablespoons, okay, and 3 tablespoons is, getting your daily allowance of, or a decent amount, if not more, of a daily allowance of that magnesium, as well as other vitamins and minerals. Again, and the way it breaks down is it's a lot. And that's a lot of protein. It's a decent, 3 tablespoons would be a decent amount of protein. It says about 3 tablespoons a day help maintain optimal intraocular pressure. Now that's what's important when it comes to, say, the glaucoma, which is interesting because we're talking about hemp seed here. We're not talking about THC flower, which was always proposed to be good for ocular pressure, therefore helps with glaucoma, because glaucoma is a response to ocular pressure. And so, they that was always, like, back in the 80s, that was the one medical argument that we held to. Not me personally, I was too young to really get behind it, but I remember that. I was like, it helps with glaucoma. It was like, and I really think that was why the government, and just so you know, the government has a certain amount of people that are actually prescribed government cannabis, for this reason or the other. And that was all supplied by the University of Mississippi up until this year, which my understanding is they are no longer going to be responsible for growing the government cannabis. And again, there was nothing really special about it. They didn't do anything special. They didn't try to change it in any way. They just grew these plants and then regrew them, just kept growing them of this one particular strain. And I don't know what it is. There was always the rumor at one time that it had some, like, G5 or something like that. And that might be true. Again, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that is what they called it, was G5. I don't know for sure. I have to look into it. And this is still going on. Before, you used to get like a jar, a can. And I actually had someone show me one when I was speaking at an event. He had one. I don't know if it was his or someone in his family that had actually received these, but it was just a can of joints, pre-rolled, that you would receive. I don't know the time frame or what. And so, that's the cannabis that our government says has no medical value, by the way. So anyway, just get your hemp seed. I think that will help with your glaucoma as well. Well, old T. Rump is going to cancel. They're talking about canceling this marijuana and cannabidiol, CBD, Research Expansion Act that Biden enacted in 2022. I mean, of course he is, because Biden enacted it, all right? And, what really kills me about this is that I don't know that I knew anything about this Cannabidiol Research Expansion Act, which I might have to go back and just see, because they don't really explain what either of these are, other than it's research. And I know the marijuana one allowed for more extensive research. Even though Biden was against the legalization, he was for the research, which is the way everybody should be. Again, if you're against marijuana, you should still be for researching it. Again, for the people that do use it, and to make, to find out this, that, and all the other. Now, my real question is, and this happened in 2022, where's that research for the last 2.5 years? What have they been doing? I want answers to what they've been researching, and if that research has found anything. The fact that they're still keeping it pretty hush hush, and I can see why the Biden administration would keep it hush hush because again, he was never pro cannabis, and he was always not for the legalization of cannabis, marijuana, what they call marijuana, and so it doesn't. I'm not surprised that they kind of kept it secret. But I do want to know what happened in the last 2 years of his administration, and what's been going on in the last 6 months of this administration, because they're obviously still doing this project, this act, or whatever. I guess I don't know. So if anybody knows anything about this, let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know because I need to know. And I'll do some more research, see what I come up with. So Maryland has officially banned D8, D10. It's been challenged in court, and the courts upheld it. And the courts also upheld that you will have to go to the dispensary for any hemp products THC based. So so full spectrum hemp, if it's CBD, full spectrum, I should say, even though it's got that 0.3% or less, you will still have to go to the dispensary to get it. So anything that has hemp THC in it, you will now have to go to the dispensary to get in Maryland, which is, again, quite ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So California now passed this bill, which basically, when I saw it, I was like, basically what this does is this puts old Newsom's Emergency Act that's actually been going on for almost a year now. I mean, I've been reporting about Newsom. So he did an emergency act like a year ago that would only last 6 months. And then he did another one, which I reported on. And I don't know how long ago that was. And apparently I think that one was, I guess, getting close to, in fact, being lifted. So they went and they passed this bill. So it basically just puts this emergency ban on hemp in California on paper as law. And so now you basically have to go to a licensed cannabis business to buy hemp. And so again, I don't know if that's all hemp. Is that like a pair of jeans? No. It's just so, and again, and I've said it so many times, this guy is obviously, he's in the pocket of the marijuana industry. He's in the pocket of the marijuana industry. Can I blame a Democratic governor for being in the pocket of the marijuana industry? No, I cannot. But can I blame a Democratic governor for making hemp harder to get? Yes, because it doesn't fit the agenda. It doesn't fit the agenda. And no governor should be against hemp. Everyone should support hemp. And again, even if you're talking about THC products or Delta 8 or Delta 10 or whatever the heck it is, and you're worried about kids getting it, then age restrictions, whatever. But again, I still think it should be open to the public. Like again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again because we have seen these things. I don't care if a gas station sells it. If you want to buy your products from a gas station, they have just as much right to sell these products as I do. Just as much right. Because I'm no different than a gas station. I don't sell gas. I mean, I am different than a gas station. I don't sell gas. But, again, I'm just a store. And they're just stores. Now, again, if you want to, think that they've done any research or know anything about these products, that's a whole different ballgame. But if you want to buy them from them, I have no issue with that. If they want to make it so you have to be 21 to buy them, I don't really have an issue with that, even though I think it should be 18. Because I think if you're an adult at 18 and the government says you're an adult at 18, then you should be able to make adult decisions at 18. They tell us we're adults at 18, but they don't let us make adult decisions until we're 21. So change let's make, Are you a minor until you're 21? Or are you an adult? It's kind of confusing.
Yeah.
You know, as they say, you can go and die for your country at 18, but you can't have a beer. And you can't smoke a joint.
Yep.
Anyway, so this is a really neat map. If you're thinking about any type of building with hemp, this is the email is on the top of this picture, but this is actually an interactive map of um, different construction related businesses. And so you can zoom in on where you are. You can see what's close to you. As you can see, and again, I just want everybody out there watching, there are some big chunks of the United States that have nothing. Okay, and you can also see from this map that there's and again, I'm not saying this is all of them. This is just what they've compiled, and again, I'm sure that they will be adding more and more as they find out about the different companies that may or may not be doing construction materials and whatever. But there's a lot of area to fill in the United States, and so last week I talked a lot about the hempcrete, and how we need more places and things doing it, making it, whatever. I am going to end the show today kind of breaking down the fiber industry. And again, this is Hemp Build Mag, and their interactive map on their website for hemp construction related things. All right. Well, a study using hemp root and leaves using CSAR, and this is adventitious roots system, can serve as a plant tissue culture based platform for the production of major bioactive constituents of hemp. So the system offers a sustainable and effective source of bioactive metabolites with therapeutic potential for the treatment of inflammatory disease. Okay, so this is showing, again, I've always said this, and this is more proof that I'm right. Beach was right about this part of hemp. You can use everything from the root to the top of the flower for something. All right. So here's this study showed, and I do believe that this was a study on mice. They all, and I don't want to make them sound legitimate because they're on mice, but most legitimate studies start with on animals, and it doesn't necessarily have to be mice. We've seen that CBD cures burns on moths. I've reported, so there's all kinds of, but unfortunately, and again, all in all, this the safety for the things they want to put inside us. A lot of times, animals are tested on first, and I have serious mixed emotions about it. I think when it comes to anything hemp, I feel confident that we could just start with humans. I mean, the reason that they usually use animals in trials is to make sure that it doesn't kill them or maim them or hurt them in such a way that would not be good to us as humans if we used them. And I can understand that. That's a use of science that makes sense to me. Do I think that ethically it's great? No. Or even good? Again, were those animals, well, those particular mice were put on this planet because, everybody uses the same mice and they're all they all come out of the identical batch of mice that are used. And so they were actually put on this planet to be used in medical trials and whatnot. But again, it's not. But well, and I go back to my original decree. I don't think we have to do that with anything that's hemp related. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think we can just start with humans on all of these things. And I seriously doubt, because all the human trials that I've seen and all the studies is most of the time the side effects are seriously mild. And when taken off the medicines, everything tends to go back to normal. And this is, a lot of the studies that I've reported on the show, that tends to be the case. It's usually a very small percentage of the people in the trials. And again, almost everywhere that I've seen it, once they're taken off whatever they were trialing, if that's a word, then everything tends to go back to normal. And so, but I would participate in any trials that would make sense for me to participate in with hemp that were not done on animals first. I would.
Yeah.
Now, depending on what they're using for a base or how they're using what they're using, I got to question that, because that goes back to, you can take CBD and put it in some synthetically made chemical that is supposed to do this for whatever disease or ailment that you're trying to make a drug for, and then that I might not want. And so, I guess there's a fine line there too. All right. So I want to give a big shout out to Sound Mind Farms in North Carolina. Shout it! It's Hemp Day. They are a fiber grower. They farm hemp for fiber, and I've talked about this. North Carolina is the place to be. North Carolina is the largest employer of material workers in the entire planet, making material, sewing, making material into things, all of this, and so good for Sound Mind Farms in North Carolina. Thank you for growing for fiber. We need to grow more fiber. More on that in a minute. So I guess this G distribution has been banned from operating in Colorado for selling THC flower as THCA flower. It begs the question, do you know what state you're in? I mean, Colorado was the first state to legalize
And just sell it.
and to sell it. Oh, what are you doing? Just sell it as legitimate THC flower to somebody. Again, it's like, why? I mean, I get it. They came across all, again, there's a lot of, because you can grow as many plants as you want in your home. Or, and so, they just grew a bunch of THC flower, and they knew somebody that had a hemp store or sold THC or wanted to sell THCA flower. And then they sold it to them. And again, like, it just seems so stupid, honestly. You got banned from the first state to legalize THC flower for trying to sell it as hemp. Anyway, so PacTech, this is genius. PacTech is going to make themselves a ton of money with this product. These are can locks. And so yeah, here it is. And I believe if I saw right, these are going to fit both the tall, skinny can and then a regular old can. Um, and this is this is why this is going to be, because this is the thing that eventually, like all these states where the alcohol industry is going to be regulating THC drinks and whatnot, they're going to be like, okay, well, this is going to be mandatory. Got to put these. We don't have to put them on the beer cans, but these are going to these locked lid cans, and so now the most of the inventory or most of the makers are going to be like, well, we just go ahead and figure out, again, they get what's interesting. It depends on whether with these locked lids, you can then put the four can thing together, and you'd have to box them up maybe, so everything would come in a box as opposed to however packaged. But again, it is genius as a product because the demand isn't going to be great, but I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, in all honesty, I think that parents that don't want their young kids or something getting in the fridge and drinking one of their THC drinks and whatnot, can sleep a little better, I guess. I do think that as part of the industry goes, again, they will convince politicians. It's brilliant. You make the product, and then you convince the politicians that this is what every product has to have, and then you're rich. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I will. I mean, I give them credit. I think it's a product that I think that has a purpose. Honestly, I do think that people can do. I agree with that. And they're using 100% recycled plastic, and even the black coloring is made from renewable biomaterials. So, hopefully, it'd be nice. It would be nice if they would just make those regular 4-pack and 6-pack plastic tops that everybody uses these days for the most part. That they don't need to be like super cheap. Make them super cheap so Coca-Cola uses them and Pepsi uses them and all these companies that sell 6-packs or 4-packs use them. Because now all that is at least recycled plastic. And then figure out how to make them out of hemp. For all intent and purposes. Make these suckers out of hemp. Before you get too big, if you're using 100% recycled materials, well, that's great because, I am for that. I want the plastic that I throw in the recycling bin to be made into products like this. I'm okay with that. I want more products. I want all products that do these things. And again, just a regular old 6-pack or 4-pack out of this or hemp would be great. So again, there's a product for you to make out there, viewers.
That's right.
I mean, how big would that be? Convince Coca-Cola to be environmentally friendly to change all of their 6-pack holders to hemp plastic ones, biodegradable, reusable if you want, but also biodegradable. I don't think these 100% recycled plastics are biodegradable. It's still plastic, and guess what? It's still going to last quite a while. The best things about them is that they are recyclable. So you take it off, eventually when you're not using it. Of course, these locks just get reused and reused and reused, so it makes sense. But if we can get the 6-packs or the 4-pack holders made out of, hemp, that to me that's the real goal. That's the real goal. So the South Dakota plant, hemp processing plant, is up and running. And again, they're doing mostly like the herd, which is what we use in the hempcrete or the animal bedding. I don't know if they're processing. I mean, the fiber is a part of it, so I would assume that fiber is going somewhere as well. And the second hemp processing plant is going to be opening up in South Dakota, because South Dakota is the largest grower of hemp in the entire country. And the most interesting part about this is that what's really driving this is the fact that they're using it as a carbon credit type situation as well. So you can, I don't know how all that works out for the farmer, but they're not growing for the flower. I would think you would grow for the grain. Obviously, they're obviously growing for the fiber, maybe, or just the stalks, and maybe that's just where all this is going. But I would be growing for the grain, and then having that stalk processed and made into hempcrete, and it might be short fiber, depending on how tall your plants get. But even a 6-foot strand or an 8-foot strand of hemp fiber is going to be, that's that 4 times stronger than cotton. Now you get a 12-foot piece of hemp fiber, and that's probably 5 times stronger than cotton. You get a 16-foot, 20-foot, and again, I'm just making this up. We always say it's 4 to 6 times stronger, and that's why. The short fiber is just as strong as cotton, or 4 times stronger than cotton still. The long fiber is probably 6 times stronger than cotton, strongest natural fiber on the planet. So, keep going, South Dakota. Keep proving the governor of South Dakota wrong, because I think she's still the governor. She hated hemp. She thought hemp was the devil's weed. She went at it. There's a video of her talking about hemp, and they got like cops with police dogs.
She's actually the director of Homeland Security now, I think. For
Trump. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, protecting us from hemp, I hope.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, she's definitely working with the DEA to make sure that the homeland stays safe from cannabis, I'm sure, somehow. Because she definitely did not like the marijuana. And she really was against the hemp. Honestly, it was almost scary. I'm pretty sure South Dakota was, in fact, the last state to legalize hemp. And now they're the leading grower. It's the world I want to live in, honestly. I want a state that really hated hemp to become the largest grower of hemp everywhere. That's my evil plan. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit, kind of dive into the fiber industry here, and so basically, obviously, it starts with the farming, just like I was talking about, and there are farmers in the United States that are being contracted to grow hemp. I know I reported on one, and they were contracted to grow hemp plants that were, I believe, exactly 12 feet. They wanted 12-foot hemp plants for whoever was going to use this fiber for whatever they were doing. I don't know how that worked out in the long run, but again, the fiber is one of the 3 main reasons why you grow the plant. And when you grow for fiber, you can still have some grain. The flower heads aren't going to be as big. You're not going to have as much grain, but you might end up with some grain. And a lot of that, in my opinion, allows you to harvest the same hemp year after year. You can collect that. When we collect the grain, and that's just basically some adjustments to a combine. And you just come along, you collect the grain. And then you have that fiber, you have that grain, and then you also still have that herd. And of course, herd is not really a word, not yet. This is something we need to submit I suppose, to the dictionary people. But a lot of places it's called shiv. It's those little chips of the stalk broken up, basically, that we use in the hempcrete and whatever. So even if you're growing for fiber, you're still going to have these. It's every time you grow, it's kind of a triple grow. Fiber separated, herd separated, grain is separated. And so, the herd and the grain could be a byproduct of the fiber. But, what I try to educate everyone is no matter what you're growing cannabis for, that's fiber in there. That's herd in there. And that can all be used. And again, the equipment, I saw a post the other day that one of the reasons we don't grow hemp is because there's equipment issues. There are no equipment issues anymore. They've figured out exactly how the best ways to take equipment that already exists and use it. And again, just like I was talking about, a combine for the grain. And again, that comes along and takes off the top of the plant. And then all you have to have is a sickle bar. And it's got to be a good one. Don't get me wrong. You're gonna have to invest some decent amount of money on a sickle bar. And I've actually seen thermal sickle bars that I like kind of cut and heat, like burn it off, I guess. I don't know how that works. But again, a good old-fashioned sickle bar, strong, super strong. This is a cry out to whoever makes sickle bars to make one hemp strong. But it just basically goes along the ground, cuts it off right above the bottom of the plant, and that's all it takes. It doesn't take any crazy farming equipment to farm. Honestly, but that's all been figured out. Now we are seeing smart farming equipment companies make those small tweaks, like small, to say, hey, this is ready to go in your field with hemp. And I always said that's what's going to happen. We're going to take a lot of old technology, we're going to tweak it a little bit, just a little bit, and then we'll have everything we need for all of the hemp farming and harvesting, farming and harvesting. And nowhere on any hemp farm have I heard yet. And of course, once again, here in the United States, it's still predominantly for the flower. So of course we don't really hear about the farming issues because that's a pair of loppers cutting off the flower, and then probably a pair of loppers cutting it off at the ground, and then the stalk goes into the waste pile, and not a lot. Some CBD flower companies or hemp flower companies do in fact use that. There was one that I reported on that was actually taking that and making the fiber mat to lay down around their plants to keep the weeds from coming out. And so, that's byproduct, even to the hemp flower industry. But again, I've never heard of anybody growing for grain. I've never heard the Canadians once that they say that they've had any issue harvesting the hundreds, if not thousands, of acres of hemp for grain. I've never heard the Italians complaining about harvesting their fiber, and they grow the finest fiber on the planet. So equipment is not an issue. I mean, you have to invest in it. Money is an issue, but current equipment is not an issue, even if you're growing for fiber, just for fiber, for that matter. Processing, that is a little bit of an issue. We need more plants, and these are 2 plants in South Dakota alone. Depending on what state and where and what they're doing. Now, there was supposed to be a big plant in North Carolina. I didn't see it on the map, but there was a huge, and I don't know what happened to that, but I know that years ago I reported on. I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 probably years ago on the show that I reported about the North Carolina processing plant. It was going to be one of the biggest ones in the country at the time. I don't know that it ever got built. I would love to know. And if it did get built, then it should be on that interactive map. I didn't see anything in North Carolina on that map. So I'm going to have to look into that. But again, the processing, and slowly but surely, we're getting the processing centers. We're getting those. It's the manufacturing of the fiber that, I mean, you want to start a hemp fiber business, then become a hemp fiber weaver, because that's going to be the next biggest move. Okay, somebody has to take this fiber and put it into the material that the clothing company wants to make their clothes out of. Somebody needs to take this this fiber, and make it into the material that the curtains and napkin companies and linens and sheets and bedding companies want to use. And again, I have these. I sleep in hemp sheets. I have a hemp comforter. I have hemp pillowcases. All of these things exist. Now, most of that material that I have, although my hemp comforter actually came from the Ukraine, I believe, but most of the hemp fiber stuff that I have came from China, because 60 to 70% of the fiber material comes from China still. And so that's the thing. I mean, Hemp Traders and Enviro Textiles, both of these companies, and some of the largest suppliers of hemp fiber out there, huge offerings of different kinds of materials, but they're still beholden, I believe, to the Chinese market and trying to get into the American-grown market. But someone has to make those bolts of fiber for them. The bolts of material, not fiber, bolts of material for them. And that's one of the, and again, here's where I would start. If you were smart, a jean material, a t-shirt material, a sheet material, and that's just a little bit. That's like, that's not much. And then, and again, I have seen everything. I have a hemp and yak sweater, soon to be seen on. And again, what's really crazy is, out of all the What Are You Wearing beaches, I think I've only worn a couple of my sweaters in the segment. This winter, I'm going to dedicate to there's so many possibilities. It can be woven as smooth as silk or as rough as burlap, thick as your thickest canvas that you want. Canvas? Coincidence? No. Canvas is from the root word cannabis, or can, the part of the can, whatever. And so again, some of my pillowcases are hemp silk pillowcases. And so it can all be done. Every single material. Linen, which is normally made out of flax, but linen has become more of a weave, especially when the fact you can make a linen suit, which I basically have as well, out of hemp. And so just about every weave known to man, we can make with hemp. The worst complaint that we ever find is the fact that, because it's a long fiber, there may be inconsistencies in there, like little tiny knots, just every once in a while, and that kind of messes up the whole program, I suppose. But all it does is add like a little thick spot to the fabric, anywhere I've ever seen it. And it's not, it doesn't. It's minuscule for the most part to notice. But again, we can do whatever we need fiber material wise with him. But manufacturing, weaving, um, and construction, I should say, putting it together, that's also part of it. So once it's woven into these materials, we need more businesses to make things out of it, to be making a line of pillowcases. And once again, you can find all these from big marketers, and they're expensive still. So, figuring out, that's the big deal. That was always been probably the biggest complaint about hemp over the last 30 years, is the fact that it's expensive. And that's a supply and demand thing. Again, up until 2018, 2013, 14, everything was imported, for one. Everything was imported. Now if we cut that supply chain down, farm it, manufacture it, process it, weave it, put it together, then the prices should come way down where they should be, because everybody's doing everything. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. But there are clothing companies that are making well-priced clothing, not cheap clothing. All right. I mean, if you want cheap clothing, then you're going to settle for something that's 4 to 6 times not as strong as hemp, unless it's synthetic, and then you're wearing oil and you're participating in the nanoplastic problem that the world has. Okay, between cotton and synthetics, that's like 80 to 85% of what most people wear for clothing. Hemp is like 2%. We need hemp to be 50%, 60%. And we can make synthetic like material from hemp as well. Viscous material is what it's called. It can be done, and it should be done. I mean, why don't we just use hemp oil to make synthetic clothing? Can we? I don't know. I think we can. Give it a shot. And again, when you're talking about the material, silk to canvas, rope. Okay, so just to be clear, hemp is the strongest natural fiber on the planet. We can also make the strongest fiber on the planet from hemp, which is graphene. Strongest natural fiber without doing anything, for the most part. Strongest fiber with some science. And there is a company making hemp graphene. And my understanding is it's about 10,000th of the cost and sustainable. You've got insulation, housing insulation, which I've shown, which is the next big market, which, I love to promote, because, one of the alternatives, and again, when you install and use hemp insulation, no gloves, you don't need a face mask, you don't need a hazmat suit to install it. And to me, that just seems like a no-brainer, honestly. There was some fiberglass insulation that came off the roof here when we were putting the air conditioners up, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not touching it. I think it's still in the parking lot because I'm not picking it up. I'm not touching it. I go put my gloves on to pick it up. But again, why would you insulate your house with a product that has to be installed by someone who has to do everything they can to protect their body from it.
Yeah.
It just seems so ridiculous of an idea. And hemp for insulation, fiber insulation, you don't need to do any of that. I mean, there was one picture that I think I showed where like the kids were playing on top of the mats of the fiber insulation that the family was installing into their walls themselves, or using in their roof, whatever it was, in their build. And then you can also use that fiber in composites, like comparable to, say, fiberglass. There is hemp fiber in the composite in the doors of every electric vehicle. They drop the body weight of their electric vehicles by 20% by making them hemp composite. And it's fiber, and it's a little bit of everything. And so the fiber was the whole reason that started my whole journey 35 years ago. My first purchase was a hemp fiber bag, which I talked about recently. And B, what I walked away from after reading The Emperor Wears No Clothes 33 years ago, I'll have to do some math there, was that cotton was killing our planet and was inferior to hemp. Like everything that I say about hemp, I have said about hemp for the last 30 years, and that was the education that Jack gave me with his book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, which is still relevant to this day. And he talked about hemp for fuel. He talked about hemp for food and all the things. I didn't really key into any of that. All I really remember keying into all those years ago was the fact that I could not understand how our farmers couldn't grow hemp, but they could grow cotton, which has. It wasn't, even at the time, it wasn't which was destroying the soil. It has destroyed the soil. Everywhere that cotton has grown, it's destroyed the soil. That's why you have to use so much herbicide on it. And, I don't know, apparently the bugs love it. Oh, no, it's a weevil or something. Yeah, of course. Then that's why you have to use so much pesticide on it, because there are insects that will destroy entire crops of cotton. There are no insects that destroy any crops of hemp. None. There are weevils that get in the stalk, but they don't do any real damage. Even if the spider mites and the aphids are on the flower heads for the grain, that's all washed off or shooken off 9 times out of 10. And so there's no reason for pesticides, and there's no reason for really herbicides, because especially when when you plant like you would do wood tobacco, you put that plant in and it's probably 6-8 inches tall. I don't know. It's going to grow so fast that there are no real weeds that can compete with it. And so that's why you don't need herbicides as well. No pesticides, no herbicides needed when you're growing for the fiber or the grain. The only time you need those are when you're growing for the flower. And that's like an industry of hemp that's different. That's horticulture. When you're growing for CBD, that's horticulture. That's not farming. I want farmers on tractors checking their hemp fields every once in a while, and making the money on it and supplying the needs of the entire country. And right now they don't want to do that because, again, it's still criminalized. It's still treated as something different and bad, and you got to have extra licenses and you got to be tested and all this, and until all that's gone, it's not going to be grown as much as it should be. If you got to jump through a bunch of hoops and ladders to grow something That's the greatest natural plant in the entire world. You're still not going to do it as a farmer. Even though your conscience says, I should be growing this plant. I can feed people. I can clothe people. I can house people. I can fuel. I can make cars. It's endless what this plant can do. And you can sit at home and say it all day long, but the average farmer's not going to pay an extra big old licensing fee to grow a big old field of plants that are going to be made into genes. So all those regulations need to be changed too. I think that there should be an end result decision. And again, if the farmer is contracted to grow for fiber, THC doesn't matter. If the farmer is contracted to grow grain, THC doesn't matter. There's no THC in the seed. Or there's parts per million of THC in the seed. And there might be parts per million of THC in the fiber. I don't know if anybody's ever actually gone that far to test it. I would find it almost unlikely that if you took the average piece of hemp fiber right out of the plant and tested it for THC, that even parts per million. But maybe. But that's, it's minuscule, and it doesn't make any difference. Still, I mean, no one is going to smoke a pair of jeans. And this used to be the joke back in the day, half joke, half serious. I mean, I had customers ask me seriously if they could smoke my shirt or smoke my jeans, And it was something people really wanted to know. And again, I mean, you can, but you're not going to get high. I mean, I always joked you can smoke anything with a big enough flame, but there's zero high, probably kill you. And then they say that fucking hemp kills. Some idiot tries to smoke a pair of jeans, kills himself, and all of a sudden, the first cannabis death,
Right,
on record. Smoked a pair of jeans and died. Funny, not funny. Don't smoke hemp clothing. You cannot get high. I repeat, you cannot get high. To finish out this little fiber section, here's why. Okay, so I already said this. Hemp is the strongest natural fiber. Okay, 4 to 6 times stronger than cotton. You can grow 3 times as much hemp on 1 acre as you could cotton without any herbicides or pesticides. It's amazing. See, they agree. They're like, yes, it's true. Grow more for fiber. Again, and it just sounds so crazy to think that it's not everywhere knowing just that. And that's why. It takes a lot less water to process into material than cotton does. And so it makes 0 sense that an entire country and world only wears 2% of this fiber on a daily basis or semi-daily basis or ever. We sell 2% of the entire global, and this is just close estimate. I believe I saw something somewhere that actually backed this up. 2% of the entire global clothing industry every year. 2% of that is hemp. I have worn hemp every day from head to toe. I would easily, just to be safe, say for 10 years. In all honesty, it's probably been 15, maybe even 20, where I just started being able to have as much hemp clothing that I didn't have to wear anything else. And I don't. And I could probably go 3 weeks without doing any laundry before I started to run out of, It'd probably just be my underwear. That would be the only thing that would cause me a situation. Because, I've got a decent amount, but I don't have a whole lot. Not like pants or socks even or whatever. So, but, when we're all wearing hemp head to toe on a daily basis, we're getting a better product that we could probably pass on to our kids. And the planet has taken this big sigh of relief. I mean, imagine if we stopped tomorrow using 30 to 40% of all the pesticides and herbicides on the planet. If we stopped growing cotton, that's what would happen. 30 to 40% of all the herbicides and pesticides used on any agricultural crop are used on cotton. If that went away, I mean, that's an amazing amount of chemicals to never reach the soil again. Ever. No need. And everything's replaced. There is nothing that cotton makes that we can't replace. Synthetic fiber is another argument. Because there are some synthetic fiber is a lot stronger. It's in no way natural. And it's really the waste. Well, there's a twofold now. I always used to say it's the waste that we worry about more with the synthetic fiber than anything else. But now it's the nanoplastic that we're finding floating at the highest mountains and the lowest seas. And that's from washing synthetic fiber. You wash it, nanoplastics make their way into the water system. You dry it, nanoplastics make their way into the air system. It's just like that. And now we have a problem. I should say now the Earth has a problem. And only we can solve the problem that we made. I mean, only humanity can save humanity from the issues that humanity has caused. And if you deny those changes or think those changes don't need to be made, then you're not a part of the humanity that I am a part of. The fiber is antimicrobial and antibacterial. Why every doctor's uniform or school uniform isn't made out of hemp is ridiculous. Honestly, it's ridiculous. You don't get those claims from cotton. No, you do not. And then on top of all of that, just for the record, hemp sequesters more carbon than any other plant out there. Now, I believe that carbon that's sequestered is then kind of put back. It's not removed permanently because then it's got to put back to the earth when those hemp products break down. When my shirt breaks down, then it might put some of that carbon that it sequestered back out there. But again, the fact that we could grow a plant that could clothe all humans and replace just about all the natural material fiber out there, and collect the carbon. Once again, we could let the trees keep growing and collecting carbon there, but double it up with all the hemp fields. And what's interesting is we keep spreading this word about it, and obviously it's working in South Dakota as a carbon sequestering industry. So we once again get it out there that somehow, like if you're a hemp farmer and you're contracted to grow for fiber, well, guess what? We can give you some money that somebody paid some carbon credits for, maybe, because you're growing hemp. And then the more hemp you grow, maybe the more money you can make on the side hustling some carbon credits. farmer's going to be in the back alley, be like, hey, I got your carbon. I'm collecting your carbon. What you got for me? I'm collecting your carbon. Anyway, so there you have it. There's a little bit of a rundown on the old fiber industry here on the High Noon Hemp Show. Let's get you on with some events and get everybody on their Hemp Day. The Hemp Maze, I believe, is still going on. And again, you've got a 15-hole Canadisc golf course where you can also go play disc golf amongst the hemp plants. Here's the information, hours and whatnot there. October 3rd through the 5th, we're just only a couple weeks away. If you're interested in building with hempcrete mainly, you want to get to this one. This is the Hemp Building Symposium being done by the Lower Sioux Indian community. Again, I truly believe, until this event is over, I'm sure that I will be right, that this is the preeminent hempcrete building symposium to go to in the entire world. Not only are they bringing in some of the most experienced, and not because I believe there's going to be someone there representing hemp fiber insulation as well. And so, it's hemp building. It's hopefully going to be a little bit of everything. But the Lower Sioux, farming, processing, and building, all right there already. They're in their second year of doing this. And so, experience with all aspects of it. And then on top of all these speakers that they're bringing in, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And so if you have any desire to get into the hemp building, this is where you want to be, October 3rd through the 5th. And then October 10th through the 12th, you got the Hemp Renaissance Rebuilding Main Street in Princeton, Illinois. Not going to be as big of an event as the Hemp Building Symposium. I think. It's just a prediction. All right. Don't forget the first Tuesday of the month is the marijuana meetup at Mad Tree here in Cincinnati. And again, I go as kind of a hemp representative. That's why I talk about it. So that also is coming up in a couple weeks. And so I'll keep you more informed on that next week as well. All right. Remember, everybody, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See y'all next week.